If you feel that he is stonewalling, or from what you've learned in your research, lying, what will you do?
I shall say so, again and again and again. I must say that I shouldn't give the impression before getting to the session that I am implying that I think he will be lying, because I don't think that the Stonewall approach will be the one he'll take. I hope the approach he'll take will be the one of a cascade of candor.
A cascade of candor from Richard Nixon? Is this what you expect?
No, it was just a phrase that I thought would appeal to you.
Later in this broadcast, we'll get Frost's assessment as to how candid Mr. Nixon actually was. The interview sessions took place at a house 10 miles up the road from San Clemente. Why here? Because the Coast Guard radar signal off San Clemente interfered with the taping. When Nixon was president, he could order that signal turned off. He can no longer. The taping sessions overall ran 28 hours, 45 minutes. Frost had the right to select what he wanted from the tapes. He had complete editorial control, he says, down to the 4 90-minute segments that will be broadcast.
See you on Monday. In the area of saying we were trying to keep them to what they'd already agreed, or we were trying to get new concessions, how do you think he'll respond to that?
Frost has had a team of researchers working for months. Before each interview session, they put their boss through hours of grilling, gaming, trying to prepare him for anything Mr. Nixon might throw at him. But all the woodshedding may not have helped David.
He is hardly going to confess on the air anything about Watergate.
On the other hand, a great deal of material has come to light since he last spoke publicly. A lot more facts are on the record. He hasn't, in fact, been interviewed since the smoking pistol was released, for instance. And so, therefore, whether he confesses or he doesn't confess, his explanation has to embrace a great many mammoth new points.
If he's going to do anything of that sort, he's going to do it in his book, which is worth 3 or 4 times as much money to him. Why would he give it to you?
Because he realizes that television is a more powerful medium than a book. If he has made an impression of telling the truth on television, if he has told the truth on television, millions and billions of people will have seen that. That's the reason why, because he realizes that if he misses this opportunity, no one's going to buy the book anyway.
Does he have a piece of the profit? Or is this a flat deal?
Well, I can't go into any of the details.
No, wait. If, let's say, you paid him $600,000 as a down payment or whatever, and you make $3 million, does he have a piece of the action, as they say?
As of the action, as they say. Well, I'm really forbidden by my pledge to talk about that.
Then you cannot say no. In other words, the impression that you're leaving, intentional or otherwise, is that he does have a percentage
of the action, as you put it. Well, ask Swifty about that, because I have promised that I will not give any details about that particular part of the arrangement.
Swifty wouldn't say, but we have learned that over and above the $600,000 down payment, Richard Nixon does own 10% of all profits from the interviews. And that could be a lot of money, what with worldwide sales, radio, and subsidiary rights. We have learned some other things, too. Enough stations will carry the interviews to reach 90% of all U.S. television homes. The commercial time in the broadcasts had not been sold out as of last Friday, and the asking price for those commercials had diminished by almost a third. But that could change tomorrow. Time magazine, which, as we said, had special access to the Frost-Nixon interviews, reports Nixon was confronted with a heretofore unrevealed transcript of a tape recording of an early conversation between him and Special Counsel Charles Colson, in which Nixon said, quote, "The cover-up is the main ingredient. That's where we've got to cut our losses. The president's losses are to be cut on the cover-up deal." At this point, Time says Nixon was stunned. After the interview, he asked his aides, "What was that tape? I'm sure I never heard that tape before. Find out about that tape." Sum and substance of the Time report is that the former president while never acknowledging a criminal act or even criminal intent to Frost. Nonetheless wound up at the end of the interview a defeated, drained man. And Time concludes, the spectacle of such a once proud man being so humbled in public is certain to create sympathy for him. They go on, his worst moments in the interview, paradoxically, could conceivably mark the beginning of Nixon's reincarnation as a public figure.